It is a hot topic. It is a popular thing. You hear a lot of influencers and, online physicians that have big followings and stuff talk about zone two and how they define zone two. And sometimes I feel like, oh, that's a good definition. And most of the time it makes me cringe a little bit because my definition of zone two may differ slightly from their definition of zone two. And when I tell people things like that, yeah, well, the way they define zone two is different than the way I define it. You'll hear people be like, wait, there's different definitions of zone two. And it's like, there's actually different definitions of every metric, aerobic, anaerobic threshold, all those, different metrics are all defined differently by different people as there's various ways to look at the data. And so each kind of interpretive method leads to somewhat different interpretation of the data.
Welcome to exercise physiology, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's funny is I know exactly what you mean, but once you've been in this game long enough, you realize there's really one definite way of calculating it, yet the interpretation of what it represents is huge.
Right.
And some people will look at it from a point of view of this is where I train or this is where I'm working hard. It really has nothing to do with that. The look on your face that you always get with people is sort of like, no, there is only one thing that represents a zone, and that's where you change fuel sources based upon ATP production rates.
Right. And that's my method as well. Like that's what I like to use as well, is what are the fuel sources that we're using? That to me defines each zone. Yeah.
Agreed. And if we were really honest, there wouldn't be 5 zones.
Yeah.
There'd only be 4.
And even break it down into 3 zones. You have a comfortable zone, a comfortably uncomfortable zone, and an uncomfortable zone. When I'm trying to explain to people like the different training zones, and the comfortable zone is kind of zone 1 and 2 lumped together, and zone 3 is kind of the comfortably uncomfortable, and the zone 5 is kind of 4 and 5 lumped together. And so in its simplicity, if we're not talking about substrate utilization, that's kind of how I try to simplify it down for people. Is like the comfortable, I could do this all day. The uncomfortable or comfortably uncomfortable is kind of the zone 3 of like, yeah, I could do this for a half hour to an hour and a half and I'm fine. And then the zone 4 and 5 is kind of the clock's ticking because I'm working hard enough that I can't do this forever, or for a prolonged period of time. And so I use those as a simplifier. But yeah, I agree with you. Metabolically, there really is 4 zones more than 5.